Alright guys, so serious talk. We're seeing some volatility pick up here in the market. The Dow is down quite a bit. Is this a possible market top that we just experienced? Let's discuss that. I'll share my thoughts in this video here. As we get closer to election, there's a lot of fear as to what's going to happen with the stock market. Don't worry, I have a video coming out on my strategy for this tomorrow, but today I want to briefly touch on what's happening with the S&P 500 right now and an interesting pattern that I just noticed. As always, a like goes a long way, so please consider hitting the like button to support the channel. Now here's a snapshot of the S&P 500 and I noticed a few things. Firstly, if you look at the bottom of your screen, I kind of circled it there, we are very overbought right now, and that's what the stochastics RSI is telling us. And it does look like this is starting to come down, but it's still extremely overbought right now. This was the first red flag that I noticed, and if you look at the top of the graph, there's two peaks that I've circled here, and this is the actual performance of the market. And we can see that we hit an all-time high at the beginning of September. We sold off with some volatility, but then we recovered, and just a few days ago we tried to test and break through that all-time high, but failed and sold off a bit from there. This to me looks like a very common chart pattern called the double top. Ooh, sounds scary. Double top. Oh, the end of the world. Let's discuss. So a double top pattern is actually a bearish chart pattern, and pretty much what it's defined as is when a stock rallies, makes a high, then traces back, bounces, and then tries to break that high once again, but fails, and then you have a double top. What tends to follow is a sell-off, which is why this is considered a bearish pattern. Yes, this could be the beginning of a prolonged sell-off. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But the pattern, the charts are telling us right now that there is more negativity in the market than there is positivity. But on the other hand, does this mean that we're going to, see another huge crash in the stock market once again? It's unlikely, in my humble opinion. Anything's possible, but the chances of that happening again is very low because there's a lot more certainty now than there was back in March when we saw that massive crash. That being said, there are still a few things out there that we need to pay attention to because the market has no idea how it's going to play out and how it's going to eventually affect stocks in the market. So really, here are the three things that I think is driving a lot of fear and uncertainty, which could lead us to a pretty decent sized correction in the coming weeks. First, we have earnings coming up. Earnings have started already and will continue for the next few weeks. Second is that the second wave has hit, it's clear, and cases are rising. Third, we have elections coming up, guys, less than a month away, and this is heavily watched by investors. Okay guys, so let's quickly discuss these 3 points. When it comes to earnings, that's kind of something we go through every single quarter. Every 3 months, companies report their earnings, and there's a lot of eyes on these earnings reports. And typically, that's when you find a lot of great deals in great businesses. That being said, the S&P 500 is made up of 500 companies, but around 5 to 10 of them make up well over 20-25% of the overall index. Now, if those companies, for whatever reason, report some disappointing results, some negativity, maybe they don't see as much growth ahead, maybe there's just something unforeseen that they're kind of skeptical about, guess what? The market's going to react negatively. Those stocks will sell off, but because they weigh so much in the market, it's going to pull the whole market down with it. Now, this isn't a unique case of what's happening right now. This is always the case, like I said, because of the heavy weight of these tech giants specifically. So it's always wise to pay attention to the big tech companies because the direction that they move will typically signify the direction that the overall market moves. Now, the second thing was in regards to a second wave. Now, some may deny this, but I think, at least from what I see here in Canada, we are definitely in a second wave. Cases have been rising consistently on a weekly basis. They're pretty much hitting new highs, or almost hitting new highs. And it's clear that there's still more uncertainty to come because we don't know if it's going to get worse as the weather gets colder. Remember, this is typically like a flu, so flus are typically more prevalent in colder climates. And as we enter, later fall, fall months and winter months, this could definitely pick up and become a lot worse. That does not mean you go out there and sell all your stocks. That's definitely not what I'm doing. But it does mean that there's uncertainty out there. Investors are not sure. Maybe we go back to lockdowns like we did back in March and April. It's a possibility. And if that happens, earnings for the rest of this year and for next year will definitely get affected. They'll have to come down, and that in turn will make stock prices also come down. Remember, at the end of the day, stock prices are just a reflection of the business. If the business suffers, if the business has, some issues ahead, they can't earn as much money, well then the stocks naturally have to follow that, whether we like it or not. But then we have the third thing, which is, in my opinion, the biggest thing, at least for the next 2 to 3 weeks or so, and that is the US election. The US elections are happening in early November, and this is typically a very volatile event. Typically in most years, you don't have other uncertainties surrounding this event, which adds to the volatility. But hey, it's 2020. We're used to having bad news on a weekly basis, so bring it on. Now I'm going to share my full thoughts with my personal strategy on this upcoming election in a video tomorrow. So if you haven't subscribed yet, consider hitting that subscribe button down below and hit the bell notification so when I release that video, you will be notified. But going back to the title here, are we at a market top right now? I think it's quite possible that we've hit a temporary top in the markets. This does not mean that we're never going to see these prices ever again, because I'm a long-term bull, I'm a perma bull if you will, and I think the stocks will be valued much higher in 5 to 10 years than they are today. That means naturally the index will also be much higher than it is today. However, that being said, because of the uncertainty going on, because of all the volatility that's going to pick up, because of all these events that are out of our control, we could definitely see the market either move sideways or continue declining for the coming weeks until a lot of this gets cleared up. First will be earnings. Once earnings is cleared up, okay, we're good. We can kind of see what companies are expecting. Then we'll have to see what's going on with the elections. Once we get that result in early November, okay, the market now knows who the winner was, and accordingly, certain stocks will benefit. And then after that, we'll have to really monitor what's going on with the second wave to see if things get much worse or if we continue just moving this way. A certain parts of the country locking down, others opening up, and then they open up and others lock down and all that kind of stuff. We'll have to wait and see. It's really up in the air, guys, but as an investor, we've got to monitor this closely, look for opportunities when this happens, because if you believe that all of these things, the election, earnings, and the second wave is going to be a short-term event and say 5 years from now, we'll be well past all of this, then any stocks that sell off is a buying opportunity. So just remember, just because the stock market is selling off does not mean that every stock out there will sell off. There are certain stocks that do better than the market, certain stocks that do worse than the market. So you just have to go pick your favorite stocks, look for value, buy in, dollar cost average is typically what I do, and then just continue holding and enjoy the ride. Now guys, if you're interested in what stocks I'm personally buying or what stocks I hold in my portfolio, check out the description. I have a link to my VIP membership group. You can sign up, check out my portfolio, and join the Discord chat to chat with me and other investors in there as well. Either way, hope you enjoyed this video. Remember, tomorrow we're going to talk about the elections and what my strategy is for that, so stay tuned. I think it'll be a fun video for you guys. And if you're excited for that, just hit the like button down below to let me know. Either way, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to invest positively, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.